see if we can graduate to a bigger posture on this topic of context. Meaning, context. There you are. Hello. Still getting used to the camera. Thank you for listening. Thank you for taking in some of this information. Perhaps like shopping for a suit. Try a suit on and then let it go if it doesn't fit. The context of your personality shows is important, right? The meaning behind what we're doing. Instead of an isolated indifferent scrolling on your phone, you might have a chance to take a look down our avenue, our fight against indifference. That apathetic, bartering your potential for security attitude of apathy rather than being counted on? Anyways, indifference is the absence of compulsion. So before we get to meaning, I'm trying to frame problems or frame things we're fixing before I go to the solution. Okay, frame, then relate. This is what I'm working on, and it's taken me a while. I'm going to start my 3-minute timer here. So I'll be with you 3 minutes. I'm hoping to wrap this up in 3 minutes. So the meaning of things comes down to communication, your character, whether you're counted, a mentorship, shared responsibility for others, and an appreciation for life. So that's meaning. So before the meaning comes, indifference arrives. And indifference might be the absence of compulsion. The juice is not worth the squeeze. Everything under the illusion of pride and shame, success, and failure. See how those are made up? Pride, shame, success, failure. Or being callous. Callous. Aloof. Aloof. Or a sideways glance, a sheer. Anodyne, thinking something, one thing about yourself, I think, is anodyne. Insouciance. Insouciance is the attitude of a child. Let's say you stub your toe in front of a 2-year-old, and the 2-year-old just like a blank stare. And it's like, my toe is about to fall off. I'm in severe pain. And the child is insouciant. Acting nonchalant, a distant attitude. A monk, I'll be here meditating, right, and not pay attention to the world. A unicorn, oh, I'm special. And pump and dump, going from place to place, changing the system of things. So that's your starting point, okay? That's where we're reversing all that stuff to get meaning in our life, okay? I know that was a lot. To a conscience. So the meaning of this show is to arrive at a conscience. An intersection of your inner voice and guide. What if you could reduce stress right where it starts, right at the level of your conscience, where your inner voice and guide meet up? Dreaming, it's delicate. Your conscience is delicate. It's where you dream. It's where you show capacity for something new. It's a shared responsibility. It's contemplative, taking the time to think. It's a benediction, something to look up to. It's a rescue junction. And that's where we're headed. You're going to start be as a critical. Or, honestly, I swear, these are signs of a crappy conscience, like your conscience isn't good. Being alone, needing control. Out of fair exchange. So taking or giving something for nothing. If you're doing that in a few areas of your life, your conscience is weak. Operating out of obligation. Like, I got to feed my mom on Tuesdays at 2 o'clock and I'm, obligated to do it. And there's, being a burden to others or burdening others or allowing someone to burden you. Being idle, lazy, idle, and critical. So that's kind of a big deal that I just threw in there. So that's your conscience. Don't forget that fucksters, we need fucksters and shysters because it proves that we need fluidity and liquidity. We need to be able to grease the wheel. We know how we need greasers. It raises the value in funds. It creates circulations, and our skill levels deserve it to hedge against fucksters and shysters. So in everywhere you look, there's going to be fucksters and shysters. Avoiding them, maneuvering them, they prove our skills. They prove our fluidity and our liquidity to handle fucksters and shysters. And The context, the meaning of your personality shows is to eventually, in the end, it's to get rapport. So you start unctuous, like a used car salesman. You start repugnant, isolated, having an aversion. Sign language, I think it stands for, SIGN, I forget. Tooling up, you're always tooling up before you see people. You're never really yourself. Or you're totally boring. So rapport, those are all the opposite of rapport. So mutual respect, you finish in this rescue junction that I mentioned about your conscience. A warmth, you've got a warmth for structure and harmony and a flavor of your state. You have things in your life that you're eager to get back to. A familiar charm. You're finding words, shared meanings and words, and you're able to speak to shape thoughts. Pretty interesting. I think that's everything. Oh, no, it isn't. I got more context, and I'm going to keep going here. So we have the chance to stack experiments against themselves. Body language, being responsible, a mentor, counted on, character, high regard for oneself, a referral link, interactional, to move our concept away of justice, away from punishment, childlike compared to childish. You know the difference? Tune in and you'll learn. Charismatic, able to warm the lonely. How about enculturation? The paideia, the essence of our place here, as spoken to a child. Channeling placidity, the ability like earth to be molded. Placidity. Perpetuating life. An overwhelming arch infused into the affections of each other. An overarching arch, a framework to live under or in. An infusion, an enculturation, a stories, boundaries, lessons, and faith, family, and patriotism. That's a lot of information. The context of your personality shows up in your physical ability to be an instrument of renewal, to have follow through. That's physical. An instrument of renewal and follow through. It helps you mentally because you strengthen your ability to think, observe, and to actually mention instead of being guarded. Context of your personality shows true strength emotionally because you can be current with your emotions, like actually name how you feel. You can trust people again. You can allude to things, and it's an emotional connection. And I think that intelligence is an emotional thing. Spiritual, real simple. The context of this show in a spiritual aspect is that everyone gets a voice. And that's spiritual. That's a connection. Everyone gets a voice. So, there you go. Your mental and moral qualities, a collegiate atmosphere, and all that provides meaning. And good luck. That's my second shot at the context of YPS. Lots of love.